What's happening, guys? My name is Wes, and today we're gonna talk about Vigilant. So I'm making this video to honor the request of one of my viewers. I really appreciate his viewership, and he asked me to do this character next. So I am going to honor this. I just came back from vacation, so let's get to it. So Vigilant is a sniper in the assault class. So if you like to snipe in video game, then this is gonna be your class that you need to give a try. I have to tell you that I have a lot of fun playing this class. Just like my last video for EXOPRIMAL about Barrage, I am going to give you some idea how to start as far as an early build as well as a late build. So without wasting your time, for late build, if you're already far in the game, this is my setup that I have been using, and I am pretty happy with that. So you want the rig to be the cannon, but you have the option, but I just like it, even though there is another skill for this character that is pretty much the same thing, which we'll talk about. And then you want to try this, but if you want to try the other one too, just go for it. But this is the one that I try. And then for our first slot, I go with the charge linker. Even though you may not have this when you first started, because you're going to get this at level 4. Once you get to level 4 for the exosuit, then that's when you're going to be able to unlock this. But when you first start, just use whatever is available to you. But the one thing that I have to tell you, if you've been playing the game, then you should have access to this third slot right here. Just put this on as soon as you start. If you already have it, it's the hi-xol compression module. This one is going to allow you to have your overdrive as fast as possible. For my last video, I told you it takes about like 6 minutes to actually get this to full capacity. So if you have this, then you'll be able to at least use this twice. And then when you use this, you have 6 shots per use. So you'll be able to do some big damage every time you have this. So we'll talk about all this. And then for the second slot, do not waste your time. Just go with the frostbite, because to me, this is the clear winner. And even though I see some of the other ones, but I don't think anything else can match this. But that is just my opinion. Just take everything with a grain of salt, but just give it a try. In any case, so that's for your late build. We'll talk about this in more detail, but if you are just here for the late build, then you know this is the setup that you can try. Now, before we go into detail, let's first understand all the active skills for Vigilant, and then we'll take it from there. Now, the first main skill for Vigilant is the subsonic burst. It fires a 3-round burst. So now you first need to understand how the railgun work for Vigilant. We will show you this when we go to the firing range, but for now, let's go over the skill and you can see what they do. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's just look at the screen and you can see the type of damage that you can do for the type of enemies, and then you take it from there. And then for the second one, the second skill is the vault. And this by default is just your jump. All you gotta do is just jump, and if you jump a second time and then you have some animation, it's pretty cool. And it's got an 11-second cooldown, but for this one, it can get you out of trouble. So this is a very good skill in my opinion. And then for the third skill, we got the frostlight. This is going to be your bread and butter in my opinion. I always say this because I feel like this skill is very important for this character. It allows you to CC the enemies and also allow you to do big damage when you crowd control the enemies. And as you can see, damage against exo fighters and damage against enemies and the cooldown. Now for our fourth skill, we got the stinger shot. This is the one I was talking about that is just like the cannon. So this one gives you some really big damage, and I tried it, it's pretty good. So I think you're gonna be happy with this skill. So you see all the information on the screen, so you should be good. And last skill that we're going to talk about for Vigilant is the overdrive, the barrel breaker. So this one is going to be your big boy, big girl damage whenever you activate your overdrive. That's the reason why if you take the hi-xol module, then you'll be able to use this as much as possible, at least 2 times for every game that you play. And those are some really big damage as long as you hit your shot. Now that we talk about all the skills, so let's talk about the early game build that you can use to set this up for this character. So as I already mentioned, so I would go with the cannon earlier because you get this very early and it is a very good damage dealer, you know, when you don't have anything else. So I would go with that. Although there are other options, I don't think any of them would help, except for this one right here. If you're trying to get some health, trying to stay alive as much as possible. But you can just use whichever makes you happy. But for me, this is what I would go with for an early build. Now for the first slot, this is what I was using as an early game build. But as you can see right here, what it says, it reduces your reload and recharge time by 20% if you level up to 5. But my suggestion is use the best that you can for every slot. That way you can just play the game, level up. That way you can just get to the ones that actually matter. In any case, for the second slot, I use the impact reduction because this is probably the best that you would have available to you at an early stage. And as you can see right here, reduce the damage from dinosaur attacks by 5%. Blase, blase, blase. So use whatever you have available to you. But the most important thing is this one right here for the third slot. You should be able to have this if you've been playing the game, because you unlock this at level 31. So just put this on there because this is going to be your best bet for an early game build. Now let's go over the late game build, because this is what you're probably going to stick with for the rest of the game if you're playing this character, in my opinion, that is. So let's go over this real quick. As I already mentioned earlier, you can use the cannon because this is what I use, and this gives me an extra way to actually deal damage when the other things are on cooldown. So this is the reason why I use that. But then again, you can also use some other stuff, like the blade is very good. I use this with barrage, and anything that actually makes you happy, that you feel like you're doing good with, I would say you go with. But for me, I stick with the cannon for my late build. And then for the first module, this is specific to this character, so that's the reason why you need to get to level 4. Once you get to level 4, you'll be able to unlock this, and just make sure you level this up to level 5. That way you can get the full benefit of it. And as you can see right here, what it says it does, it modifies the well-gun charge performance, and we'll talk about all this when we go to the firing range. So basically that's all it is right now, so just take a look at it. And then for our second slide, we go with the frostbite. You do not unlock this until you get to level 8. So you need to get to level 8 as soon as possible, because this is going to be your best skill for this character, in my opinion, because this is going to allow you to do more damage, as I already mentioned earlier. Now, the way Frostlock work is when you first started, you only get one charge. So you throw it at one of the big dinosaurs, and then it just put the ice freeze on them, but it's not gonna freeze them because it's not enough. So you have to wait for your cooldown, and then you can throw another one and it will freeze them. So you get about like 3 seconds to actually do some damage to them. Now, when you have frostbite, it makes freezing the enemies, the big dinosaur that is, a lot easier, because you throw one and then you throw a second one and freeze them right away, and you have time to do damage to them. So if you do it the second time, it's going to take at least 6 charges to actually get them to freeze, in my experience with this. But at least for the first time, you throw this twice and then you freeze them, you get the opportunity to do a lot of damage with that little window that you have. So that's the reason why this skill is actually a must, in my opinion, for this character. So that's frostbite. Again, we'll talk about this when we go to firing range. And then for the last one, we already talked about this. This is one of the best universal module in the game, and this can go into any build. It all depends. If there is a skill in the character that is more important than this, then you probably go with that. But other than that, when you don't have anything that is more important, that is better, so you have to go with this. And then this is very good because you get to use your overdrive a lot more often. But beside from that, for the one that I actually go with the character, it's going to be this one right here. And as you can see, you get this at level 12, and I don't see this being any better than the hi-xol. So that's the reason why I don't even bother to actually unlock this. And then you also have the freezing bolt. As you can see, when you read the description, I don't see this being any better than the hi-xol. But once you get to this level, then you'll be able to use them and you should be good to go. So that shouldn't be a problem. Just try them out once you get to that level. So level 14 for this one, and also for this one, you have to be at level 12. And then just try them out and see how you like them. But I know personally from reading them, I would not go with them compared to this. I would go with the hi-xol anytime, any day, 24/7. So that is that for the late game build I would go with. So you can give this a try and see if you like it. If not, just try different things, and you never know, you could be happy with other things. But now let's go to the firing range so we can talk about the skills for this character. Alright guys, at the firing range, the first thing you need to know is how to use the railgun, which is the sniper rifle for Vigilant. So as you can see, you shoot this, you got a 3-round burst, and then you hit the enemy. It does 15, as you can see right here, so there's nothing to it. And then for the second way to use this is to scope in, and then as you can see right here, now you can see the arrows from left to right, and then you have the opportunity to actually do like one shot that's go 5 rounds, because you have 30 rounds in the mag. So every time you shoot it, if it's fully charged, then that's gonna be 5 rounds. However, if you just like, it's not charged, so you can just do one at a time. So that means, you can see the way this works right here. But you most likely you're probably not gonna use this, so you're gonna go with when charged, because that's gonna be your best bet. So I would go charge the sniper rifle every time before you make your shot. But it could happen that you just use it just without the charge, but it is what it is. Like I said, there are 3 different functions for the railgun, so that's how you use this. You'll get practice with this and you should be good to go. And now for the other skill, I already said the cannon. The cannon, this is my Y, and then this is what the cannon does. You already know the deal, so that's what that is. And then we talk about the volt. And then the voltage, just do this, and then if you do it again, you see the animation. It is pretty good. This is gonna help you to get to some high places. That way you can position yourself as a sniper to actually get some good shot around the game. And then our next skill is the frost lock. So it's just a ice ball that you throw. You can see it freezes the enemy when it goes through. It's like a trap you put onto him, and then you can just stop them into time, and then just do damage to him. And also you can just throw it, and then when the enemy come close to it, you can just shoot it. It will freeze them just like that, and you will be able to do some damage to him. So that's the gist about that. But the good thing about it, once you unlock frostbite, then you have 2 charges, meaning that you can throw 2 at a time, and then giving you the opportunity to freeze the big dinosaur a lot faster. And then our next skill is the stinger shot. It's just like the cannon, like I was saying. It's just different animation in my opinion, but it is pretty much the same thing, except that this one does a lot more damage, and you can do some big damage with that, especially if you know the weak spot of the dinosaurs. And our last skill is the overdrive. Like I said before, you have 6 shots whenever you activate this. You don't have all day to shoot them, so just trying to find your target and then just shoot them as soon as possible. So you got 6 shots, just make sure you make them count, and then just don't use it whenever you want. Just use it whenever it's gonna make a difference, in my opinion. As you can see, the difference between when you have the overdrive and when you have your regular shot that you use for the scoping. So you can see the colors difference. Well guys, I think that is it for this character. Hopefully this helps you out. You have an idea with this character, what it does and what you need to do to actually play with it. It's just a matter of trying to find your best position, and also make sure you stay behind the tank guys, and that way you can have shot. But if you don't have a tank in your team, or you can't find your tank, just find yourself a good position, and then just park yourself in a position and then start taking your shot. And that's how this works. So you'll be fine. I think you'll have a lot of fun with this thing. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.